And now, it's time for learning more about our lives as students, our body as humans, and our future as happy, healthy people. The APU and AUV Podcast Network presents the Student Health and Happiness Podcast with your host, Russell Freeman.
Welcome to the AUV Student Health and Happiness Podcast. I'm Dr. Russell Freeman. I'm a professor of health science and philosophy at American University in Vietnam and a chiropractic physician from the United States. Today we're going to take a closer look at transitioning to student life. You could call it the 12 most common problems faced by students and their solutions, or maybe how to avoid making freshman mistakes. Now, once you start your life as a student at a university or college, you may be overwhelmed with hurdles and distractions. Sometimes you're prepared for it, and sometimes you're not. We need to find out kind of what causes being prepared or not, and the best way to avoid these freshman mistakes. And in order to help us understand, we have a special guest today, Mr. Michael Hayes. Michael is the student counselor here at American University and APU High School, and we're very happy to have you with us on the show today, Michael. Welcome back.
Hey, great to be here, Russell.
So we want to talk about what kinds of problems do almost every student face, and most important, the solutions that are available for freshmen or people making this transition from wherever they came from, probably high school, to student life. To do that, we're going to have a three-part program. In the first part, we're going to talk about time management and motivation, distractions, and concentrating. In the second part, we're going to talk about homesickness and depression, social problems, and choosing a major. And in part three, we're going to talk about finding the right resources, dealing with relationships, financial problems, and housing problems. So let's get started with talking about what I think is perhaps the most common mismanaged part of a student's life, which is time management. And it's also probably the one skill that I've noticed that everyone I know that's really successful has mastered.
Yeah, absolutely. Your time management skills are going to lead to success, probably more so than any other skill set. And time management is one of those things that our APU students learn by the time they graduate, and hopefully they'll continue to learn and foster those skills when they get to university.
Well, some students think they don't need time management because they're not taking many classes or because the classes are easy, but I think that any level of study involves some degree of effective time management because you're not just studying. You still have a life to develop. You still have so much to learn outside of class. And yet students find themselves staying up late to finish a piece of homework and struggling to meet their deadlines. They feel overburdened with work, and these are some of the most common problems that are faced by students. It affects their grades, and it affects their experience, the quality of their experience.
And that transition, if they're going to go from APU and a high school environment to a university setting, if they're going to go overseas to the U.S., let's say, they're also going to be on their own for the first time in many cases, and so they also have to manage their time away from the classroom. So there's a lot of changing expectations and a lot more to manage once they make that transition to university life.
So there's a reason why it happens at this time in life, and it's because in high school, you're still at home.
Right.
Your mom and dad are telling you, come in for dinner.
Right.
Or it's time to go to bed, or put the phone down, or did you do your homework?
Exactly.
But when you are in university, even if you're living at home, your parents probably going to try to leave you alone a little bit and let you make your own mistakes, find your own way. But they're also going to maybe try to micromanage you at the same time. So how can you be independently qualified to make the best use of your time? How do you learn and implement a time management strategy?
Well, if you can successfully graduate from high school, which our students at APU do, and then go on to higher education, they've started to master those skills. But again, once they land at a university environment, whether here in Vietnam or overseas, they have oftentimes a lot more time that they have to manage. You can talk to your friends. There's a lot of videos and time management books out there. Your professors are always a good resource for managing time and explaining, how much time you should spend on your studies. So there's resources and tools available. You just need to learn to access them and take them on board.
Sure. Well, I was looking at at an article by the Amber Student blog, and actually some of my ideas for today's program came from there. And there are some ways to overcome these challenges, really, of fitting 6 days into one day, to organizing your time. And the top of the list is to set a to-do list, to actually create a to-do list every day, to organize your schedule, and most importantly, to strictly stick with it.
Oh, again, the use of technology has encroached upon all of our lives. And, even on our phones, there's calendars. Just today, first thing this morning, I had a meeting. The first thing we're all doing is pulling out our calendar, looking at the calendar, reviewing the dates and the important events coming up. So we're starting the day by managing the future events that are coming our way. It's just one of those skills that we all learn at different times, and the sooner you can learn it as a high school student or a young college student, the better off you'll be.
I really didn't learn this until I was in business, and then I didn't have a choice or nothing would get done. And one of the things I had to learn was to stop looking at a big task as something that I had to surmount. And the way to do that is to break a big task down into smaller ones. And those smaller tasks become what you enter into your to-do list.
Exactly. That overcoming the big task, like you mentioned, can lead to low motivation. And that can really sabotage your success. It also can help you develop distraction skills that are not going to help you in the long run. So you're right. If you can break those big tasks down into smaller steps, accomplish a small one, check it off, then go on to the next one, check it off, and then take a break or do something different.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's probably the other big piece of effective time management, is to take breaks and use them strategically.
Yeah,
because you can't concentrate for that long. You also have to maintain your health.
Your health is an excellent point. One of the great benefits of most American universities these days is they have tremendous gym facilities where you're going to have access to gyms, sometimes 12, 15, 20 hours a day, where you can go and work out, go swimming, take a sauna. Some of the schools I've visited in the States have spent more money on their gym facilities than, their English department in the last 20 years.
The next category of self-help is having to do with low motivation. I notice a lot of students lack motivation. It seems to be a common problem here and pretty much everywhere. And I think that just the effort required to survive in school, much less succeed well, it seems so unobtainable, so big, especially if you're not really excited and really motivated from the get-go. And you get stressed out, over little things, and
right.
that prevents you from tackling the big things, and that affects your sleep. And then you're constantly worried, and it's a sleep-worry sort of cycle.
Yep.
So I think the key for this is self-knowledge. How does someone that's experienced low motivation just kind of get over it?
Well, our students at APU are very fortunate. There's a lot of great staff members. Some are new, some have been here for a while. They can avail themselves to our different faculty members. There's a lot of great teachers here at AUV that students can avail themselves to and gain insights on how to boost their motivation or solve problems that are keeping them from doing their homework or getting projects done. So there's a lot of options available to students if they just ask for help.
I think that one of the things that blocks students is their fears. They don't really visualize themselves being successful. They're not aiming at a goal that they think they can accomplish when the goal is to do well in school, especially in difficult classes. So self-knowledge here, I think, is so important. You need to face your fears, don't you?
Yeah, and that's why schools are set up the way they are. We anticipate students will fail from time to time, and we hope that they'll learn from those challenges that they've encountered. And the teachers at APU and the faculty here at AUV are always available to help students get back on the path.
So if someone is having this problem with low motivation, should they talk to someone about it? And if so, who?
Well, start with your teacher. Start with a friend. I'm always available as the school counselor at APU and AUV. I'm available to talk with any student at any time about any situation.
Okay. The next thing is about distractions. Oh, wow. It's so easy to become distracted just in daily life. And in university, it's really, really tough. And I found that the students' ability to concentrate on studying is really hampered. And they have so much competition for their attention, social media and friends and phones and TV and video games and outings. So how do they switch to a working environment and learn to avoid those distractions while they're studying?
Well, being a high school student is really important that you learn to stay focused and put down those distractions. And then the ones that you mentioned, oftentimes you just need to disconnect and find time for yourself and stay focused on the most immediate concern that you have.
I think this is connected to also their difficulty in concentrating.
Oh, yeah.
They go together.
Yep.
And so you have to clear your head. You've got to talk to people about it. You have to have smaller goals that add up to big goals and find out what your learning style is. So you're not pushing yourself too much. You're feeding yourself at the appropriate rate. And I think with those kinds of things, maybe students can find some solutions.
Absolutely.
So with that solution, we're going to end the first part of this episode. And we want to thank you all for listening to our AUV Academic Podcast. Michael, thank you for attending today.
Always good to be here.
We'll see you next time.